very much. There are those nightmares that you have where you don't have trousers. Very often you're going to be taking a big exam without trousers. If you're an actor, or you've ever acted, you get the nightmare where you get to go up on a stage and realize you do not know your lines. As an author, I had that wonderful moment, just standing back there, where I went, I will get up on that stage, and in minutes I will be reading to them from the graveyard book, which I do not have. So this is a brief plea for anybody sort of... Life got easier already. So first of all, I want to thank you, Jerry, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you to the Chicago Tribune. Thank you to Printers Row LitFest. Thank you to the Harold Washington Library. And also thank you to Julia Keller, who wrote a wonderful article, which I think I described her when I met her for the first time in the flesh this morning as barking mad in all the best possible ways about me. It broke all the rules of journalism and was all the better for it. So enjoy that very much. I was photographed 3 days ago in the bath. I was fully dressed. The young lady that I was next to was not, but she was discreetly covered with bubbles. And this was for a series of interviews that a lady named Sarah Benincasa has been doing, mostly with comedians and performers in the bath. It's on YouTube. It's called Getting Wet with Sarah Benincasa. And I'd agreed to be interviewed about a book that I'd done with Amanda Palmer, who was the other person in the bath. And so we were in the bath, and some photos were taken while we were getting ready. I was wearing a suit and jacket that actually seemed appropriate to go into a bath. And I started getting messages on feedback, on the feedbacky sort of messages on Twitter, almost as soon as these things went up, explaining how inappropriate it was for me as a children's author to be photographed in a bath with a young lady who, even if discreetly covered with bubbles, was very obviously not wearing very much. Even if I was. And for the first time, I thought, that's so strange. I've never thought of myself as a children's author. I never thought of myself really as a YA author. I never knew there were rules. Obviously, proper YA or children's authors live in little cottages. And the cottages are hung with roses. And they live there alone. And occasionally passing children come by. And I think we wave. I don't think we'd actually talk to them, because obviously living on our own and writing children's fiction, that could be seen as suspicious. But I think we hold baked goods and we wave. I never set out to be a children's author. And I'm still not convinced that I am. I set out to tell stories. Because telling stories seemed to me the most exciting and wonderful thing you could ever do. And when I was a kid, I loved stories. And I loved books. Books were concentrated, raw ways of getting stories. You could access them at your own pace, and the pictures were always better than the ones on the television. There's a magic to books. I was the kind of kid, I was a strange kid.
No.
I didn't realize that I was a strange kid until I had had 3 of my own. And by the time I got to a 3rd child, who, by the age of 7, had not alphabetized their own bookshelf. I thought, okay, I was weird. But I was a kid who loved books. Books were the most important things there were, as far as I was concerned, when I was a kid. I had books with me at all times. And books were friends. And books were places that you could go. And books were escape. And books were freedom from awkwardness. And books were things that my family would frisk me to make sure that I didn't have on me before weddings. Or bar mitzvahs or any important family event, I would be frisked. And books would be found and they would be removed. Or sometimes they wouldn't find them. And they'd find me under a table, just sitting quietly reading. My sister Liz, who is about 5 years younger than me, recently told me, she said, you know, I used to be really embarrassed by you. And I said, why? And she said, nobody else had brothers who walked down the streets reading. And if they bumped into a lamppost, just apologized. I got to check if this was a first or not. So I read, and I loved reading. I would get my parents to drop me off at our local library on their way to work during my summer holidays. And I remember the joys of reading my way through the children's section of the library and the terrifying disappointment at the time I realized I had now read the children's library and was going to have to head out into the vast